What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
What's up, Fantasy Points? Back for a regularly scheduled Outside the Box at our usual time. I am here with Scott Barrett, CEO of Fantasy Points, master of dank stats. As usual, we're going to be going position by position for tournaments, looking at quarterbacks, then running backs, receivers, tight ends. We will be looking at the chalk a little bit and then finding some plays that we like for large field tournaments. Scott, are you ready for this slate? Are you excited for this slate?
I'm excited. Yeah.
It's a shorter slate.
Yeah. Short slates are better. Bigger edge, I think. But not too short.
Yeah, it's like Showdown. It's pretty good size. I love Showdown.
I know you do.
I know, yeah, but this should be a fun slate. Did you watch the fight last night?
Oh, I did. I wasn't gonna watch it, and then I saw so many tweets about people saying how it was the worst thing they've ever watched, and I was like, all right, I got to tune in for this, see how bad this is.
I did not watch it. Was it the worst thing you've ever watched?
I mean, it is what it is. It's a YouTuber fighting a former champion, and he was running around. He was falling all over himself. I admire his balls, I gotta say, because he was in there with him, and people really got mad at him, constantly falling down and like hugging him. But I mean, this is a guy with elite power who is a real professional boxer, who is 5 inches, 60 pounds. Like, that is insane.
Yeah.
Who like has always had elite power. So like he's getting smacked and he's getting dizzy. His legs are getting weak. He's getting wobbly, and he just kept getting up. So I extend a good deal of grace towards Jake Paul. I thought it was a real effort, a real showing. And I'm not, like I said, I wasn't going to watch it, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I did not watch it, but
like that's on you. If you thought this is going to be a real fight, like that's right. That's your fault.
Yeah, people were betting it apparently on Jake Paul, which, yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch it. Sounded like it was better than expected, I guess. So that Jake Paul like hung in there better than expected. But yeah, he was never going to win. All right. Always Be Water says, "Sup boys, a small favor for today's show. Please make sure when you talk about players, you maybe specify which you love for single entry and which for MME. I get confused sometimes. I play a ton of single entry 3 max. So if I say something really dumb and outlandish, you can just assume that I'm talking about large field GPPs. But yeah, I'll do my best to specify when a play is like, this is only for the large field GPPs. I think typically we're talking, or at least typically I'm playing the largest field GPP. So that's kind of my mindset. Whereas Scott, you play some smaller field stuff. So I think there's some element of like, usually when Scott's talking about players, he's talking about like 3 max.
Yeah, I have to go light this week. I have some Sunday morning obligations. I'm just going to play the 555 milli, just that one lineup.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be it for me.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to build it tonight, and I'm not even sure I'll be able to check it.
Oh no.
I mean, I will, but I won't be home and able to. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with that. It's a big one. So yeah, medium size there. But we'll do our best to specify. By the way, while you're coming in, please do like the video and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel. Scott, I know that the deals have been fantastic at Fantasy Points right now. What is the current deal at Fantasy Points?
Yeah, it is our early bird special. So you get the rest of 2025 free, and then you get the cheapest will be for all of 2026. It's 20% off any subscription. So if you're already a standard subscriber, you can upgrade to premium, get that 20% off, and you get the rest of this year free. You won't be double charged. Really, this is for our subscribers more than luring in new people. And so, yeah, you're not going to get double charged. If you, instead of, just waiting for auto renew to kick in, you just manually go in on the site and then click this, pay with your credit card. And so it'll be 20% cheaper than getting auto renewed in April. And then if you're not a subscriber, you get the rest of this year free. Cheapest price for 2026. Christmas is here. If you want to, that's a great gift to, get your dad, like if he didn't make the playoffs in your fantasy league, just get him a basic Fantasy Point subscription. You can contact our customer service to figure out how that works. I think you just make an account under his email and with whatever password. We'll figure it out. But yeah, if you're interested, early bird special over at fantasypoints.com.
Yeah, fantastic deal. Kind of underselling it a little bit. I think it's a really great deal that people should check out if you haven't already done so. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into this slate. I'm trying to get out of here in like 90 minutes or so that I can finalize lineups for the 2-game Saturday slate. We were in that part of the season now where we just have slates on slates on slates. It's never ending. Should be a fun one today. We don't know yet if Josh Jacobs is playing today. So a lot up in the air for the Saturday slate, but we're going to be talking here about the Sunday slate. Starting with quarterbacks, starting with the chalk, maybe.
Sunday update is still a go, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Someone
Good
just
question
commented
from Nathan. Yeah, so you'll still be doing that show tomorrow. Jacoby Brissett, somehow the price is not moving on Jacoby Brissett, Scott. He's still 5,300, only projected for 13%, or I shouldn't say only. What do you think of 13% ownership going to Jacoby Brissett at 5,300?
Yeah, he's great. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s back, which I think like honestly helps his projection, but it makes him a little trickier to stack. But he's no doubt the top value quarterback. He's the cash quarterback. He's the, if I was playing the double spy, he would be my quarterback there. He's finished as a top 12 fantasy quarterback in all 9 of his starts. No one else is coming close to that. 21.6 fantasy points last week against the Texans. That was the most they've given up all year. 22.2 DraftKings fantasy points per start. That would rank behind only Josh Allen. Or actually, maybe Jackson Dart. And the stat I had was fantasy points per game since he took over. But yeah, either way, clear mispricing. I think his price actually went down, which doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it's a easy top 3 matchup. And so, yeah, that's Jacoby Brissett. Great play.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on Jacoby Brissett all year. We're sticking with him in a nice matchup with Atlanta. Justin Herbert, the second chalkiest quarterback on the slate, one that I was really excited about and then kind of got talked off of playing a ton of Justin Herbert. But I want to hear your thoughts. Are you going to Justin Herbert against the Cowboys at 6,000, 10% projected ownership?
Yeah, I would have talked to you off of it. I think
Okay.
he's hurt. I don't think he's playing well. He hasn't scored more than 15 fantasy points in 3 or 4 weeks. But I imagine tomorrow morning I'm going to do the Sunday update, and Johnny's going to ask me the same thing, and I'm going to be like 10% stupid. And he's like, yeah, but every show is shit all over him, and it's the Cowboys. So I can see that happening and him making me kind of think more deeply on it. But right now, looking at this ownership projection, I feel totally fine getting away from it.
The last 5 games for Justin Herbert. So the most recent game, 11.4, then 13.2, 13.8, 4.3, and 14.7. So kind of 5 consecutive bad games
awful
for Justin Herbert. I will say the last 2 have been against Kansas City and Philadelphia. So like, is it possible he's getting healthier and he's just been in bad matchups? I guess that's kind of like the case that I'm like trying to make to myself, is like, well, maybe like he is healthier than he was. Like he was having bad games because he was unhealthy. Maybe he's getting a little bit better. And now we just had really tough matchups the past couple of weeks. And now he gets the Cowboys, which is like the nut matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think a lot of it comes down to what that ownership projection is going to be tomorrow morning.
Yep.
And shout out to Darren for updating.
Yeah. And Quentin Johnston questionable. I think that also like it'll be easier to know what to do if Quentin Johnston is out, and we can, just stack him up with Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, or Rondé Gadsden. But anyway, yeah, I think that I have not decided yet if I'm going to be a Herbert bull tomorrow, but I'm at least like I've been talked off of like being a super Herbert bull, which I think I was going to be at one point this week. Jared Goff.
Don't let anyone talk you off. Stick to your guns, Neil.
Well, I mean, if I get better information. So I like had not really considered that he was hurt. It was just like Justin Herbert again, like this passing game against that passing defense.
His hand is broken, but it's his non-throwing.
I know.
Like, why would that?
Also, they just have a terrible offensive line. So like
so that's a big component of it too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I feel like a broken hand to your non-throwing hand doesn't matter.
I mean, it clearly matters some. It's just based on how he's been doing.
Fumbling the snap, I mean, more so than you know,
But yeah,
accuracy.
healthier every week. You know, I'm going to be playing some, to be clear. I'm just like, I've maybe been talked off of like 35% Justin Herbert, and maybe I'll be more like 15% or something. So I'll still probably be over the field. Another guy I'll probably be over the field on is Jared Goff, 6,300 projected for 8% ownership. It is tougher because his pass catchers are just expensive at this point. Anybody you want to stack up with Jared Goff is expensive. What are you doing with? Are you going to be playing some Jared Goff?
Well, they're not expensive on FanDuel. I think Amon-Ra and Jameson are both top 3 wide receiver values for us over there. But yeah, I know he's an amazing play. This is a must-win game. Detroit would be out of the playoffs if the season ended today. He's at home. That matters more for Jared Goff than like anyone else in the world. They have the highest implied point total of the slate. Pittsburgh is a top 7 matchup on paper, and now they're without TJ Watt. One of the best players in the game, Nick Herbig, maybe their second best pass rusher, is doubtful. So this really just looks like an elite spot. My favorite GPP quarterback, probably. Am I going to play him in the 555 milli? I don't know, but he's just a great play.
Okay. And then we have, we have a few more at 8%. Actually, we have kind of a drop off. So I guess we can cover Bo Nix, Tyler Shuck, CJ Stroud. What's your level of interest in any of those 3? How would you rank those 3? 6,100 for Nix, 5,400 Shuck, and 5,500 for CJ Stroud. How would you rank those 3?
I don't know. They're all fine.
Stroud has the best matchup, I think. Maybe. I guess Shuck is not bad either, matchup wise.
Yeah, with a gun to my head, Stroud, Shuck, Nix. By the way, Neil, you should have went all in on Trevor Lawrence last week.
Yeah, for real.
I was getting DMs where it was like, when you said Trevor Lawrence was in play, I should have known he was going to score 60 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Because so this is the Wandale thing all over again, where I shit all over the guy, and it's never hurt me. I'm like, I never played Trevor Lawrence, and it's literally never hurt me. But this week, he's playing his best football. He's looked great. It's a great matchup, but I still never play him as a rule. So you should have went all in.
I should.
All the listeners should have all went all in, because saying I don't hate him after 70 straight starts of hating him is high praise.
That is. It was against the Jets, right? Or am I misremembering that?
It was against the Jets.
So maybe this is an elite matchup for Shuck. Like I feel like there were several weeks where I was like, this defense at some point, like they're going to fall apart, right? Like they traded away their best players, they're going to give up, and it seems like they have finally given up after I was not super over the field on them last week. That was a bummer.
So it's a great matchup for Shuck. 28 runs over the last 4 weeks. Only Josh Allen has more. A ton of design stuff inside the 10. And we saw that the other week where he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Really good volume. They're pretty pass heavy. Higher implied point total than a lot of teams. So Shuck is very in play. Knicks, I love the matchup. I think this is a great matchup, but if I'm being honest, and I don't know that Ryan and Jake probably don't see it the same way, but I prefer Trevor Lawrence. I know it's the much tougher matchup for Lawrence, but this game offers a lot of shootout potential. It's 2 pass funnel offenses versus like the top pass funnel defenses. And like I said, he is playing at an elite level. Like this is a guy who I was like, he's not it. He hasn't improved since he was at Clemson, but no, these last 3 weeks, he looks incredible. And it was like a nice steady progression where he hadn't cleared a 6 adjusted net yards per attempt. And then he went to 7.5 and then 9.5 and then 12.5. And, all the film guys are saying he looks incredible. And so, I personally, that's what I would do, but I do know Jake and Ryan like Knicks, and then Stroud. Yeah, it's all the running backs are hurt, so we should expect a more pass heavy approach up against an absolutely dog shit defense. So, I think he's a solid value. I say none of these guys, maybe it's just like the way my brain's working. I said I'm only going to play that one lineup. I don't think any of these guys are touching Jared Goff. I don't think they're touching Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, so you're not that interested in playing them unless you're playing a ton of lineups. I guess I'm surprised to hear you say that you think it's a good matchup for Bo Nix against Jacksonville. On the one hand, it is number 2 in terms of it's been a number 2 pass funnel on the season, but like over the past 5 weeks, looking at schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, it's the 4th worst matchup, which is, I guess that's kind of how have viewed Jacksonville, is that it's a tough matchup. Do you think it's easier than this would indicate?
Well, they played Brady Cook, they played Riley Leonard, they played
Okay.
Cam Ward, and so it's, that's a potential flaw with schedule adjusted, because it looks at Indianapolis and it
Right.
remembers Daniel Jones. It
Yeah.
doesn't think Riley Leonard. And so if you look at the non-schedule adjusted stuff, or maybe even just schedule adjusted across the full season, it looks better.
Yeah, that's a good like nuance to know about the stat. Like that doesn't come into play that often, or it's like looking at you face multiple backup quarterbacks who have just come in. Yeah, so that is a good note on the stat.
Spelkowski, Scott on Lawrence is a clear top signal.
That's true.
I like that.
Yeah. What else? I mean, any other quarter? We don't have.
Yeah, I love
else.
I love the cheap quarterbacks this week. I really like quite a number of them.
Okay, so like below 5,000, we have Kirk Cousins is 4,800, Gardner Minshew 4,500, JJ McCarthy 4,900, Quinn Ewers 4,000, Brady Cook 4,200, Shedeur Sanders 4,600, Cam Ward 44, Geno Smith 4. Insane how many cheap quarterbacks we have. Oh, and Kenny Pickett, I didn't mention 4,300.
All right, so I lied. I only like 2 of them, but
okay,
I really like 2 of them. I'm surprised. Like the implied point total on Kansas City came out really low, and then Rashee Rice got ruled out and it became lower. Our projections on him are really low, but this has always been like one of the more underrated fantasy assets. He has nearly the same number of career games with 18 plus fantasy points as Jordan Love in fewer career starts. This is, like we've seen Kansas City backup quarterbacks do really well, assuming, they're actually trying. Extreme pass heavy offense. And he tends to get the ball to his best players. You saw that last year. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers combined for a 50% target share. It was a 100% target share to Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce last week. And then it's just like the nuts matchup against the Titans over the last 7 weeks, biggest pass funnel, bottom 3 schedule adjusted, whatnot. So not my favorite 4K, if I'm being really honest, but I wanted to like him a lot. And again, I was surprised our projections came in so low.
So who is your favorite 4K?
It's Quinn Ewers.
Wow. Okay.
This is very much a high risk, high reward sort of play. But Quinn Ewers plus Darren Waller plus Jamar Chase on the bring back just seems really fun to me. Quinn Ewers was a round 7 pick. This is like the most hated college quarterback prospect of all time because he had this stacked Texas team and he sucked. But he also kept Arch Manning off the field. He was insanely hurt. Very Will Levis-esque, where it's like, some film guys really coming out of high school, he was a 5-star, like perfect prospect. But yeah, tons of injuries last year, and he's beating out Zach Wilson, a top 5 pick who, clearly a lot of raw talent. And so he's just the cheapest possible price. You also, by the way, are hearing that the Tua benching is like performance related. Like he's not playing well. Maybe they think, they have something in Quinn Ewers. Maybe Mike McDaniel needs a big game from Ewers to keep this job. And so, yeah, I think, like I said, it's Ewers, Waller, Achane, by the way, that's important. And Jamar Chase on the bring back up against a bad Bengals defense. So I don't know. I like that more than 4%.
All right. I like it. That's I've been kind of going back and forth because it is such a nut matchup. And like he has the talent around him to potentially, but then again, all I've heard is that he's just terrible as like an actual quarterback, which maybe doesn't matter for like DFS 1 week against the Bengals. Even if you're not that talented as a quarterback, maybe you can get it done anyway.
I think we should also talk about the quarterback on the opposite side, Joe Burrow. Something's clearly off with him, and like he's weird in these press conferences. But yeah, he came back too early from an injury, this foot injury, or turf toe injury. And like we've seen him play hurt before and like suck ass. This was, what was it? The calf. It was like the first 5 weeks of the season 2 years ago, and he was awful, awful, awful. And so it could be that. It could just be like the tough matchup against the Ravens being without T. Higgins, because there's 3 games, and 2 of those games were Ravens without T. Higgins. And then in the other game, he went off, and pass volume has been great in all these games. Miami has a bottom 7 pass defense by EPA per dropback allowed, and now their best defensive player, Minkah Fitzpatrick, is out. That's also really good for Jamar Chase. They have the 5th highest implied point total the slate. He's pretty cheap. I'd like him a little bit more if T. Higgins plays, I think, or maybe significantly more. But I think this is a trickier one, and I think he's a much better play than 4%. Just like I think Knicks, Shuck, Stroud are not as good of plays as 8%.
Okay, so kind of maybe flip the ownership there.
And Herbert.
What about our guy Baker? Can we go to Baker Mayfield at 5,700 against Carolina?
Yeah, I thought about it. He had like a 6 touchdown game against the Panthers last year, right? He's just sucked so bad. One of the best injury experts, Jeff Mueller, reached out to me after, I think it was the 49ers game, where he was like, "Hey, just a heads up. I think Baker's hurt. It looked like he was wincing here and he seemed off, whatever." But from that point on, he's sucked. Like that. Jeff told me that really early on. And since then, dead last in catchable throw rate behind JJ McCarthy. He did look a lot better last week. I think getting Mike Evans back is big. I won't fault you for playing him as a millie play, but don't like him as much as playing Miami Cincy. Don't like him as much as Trevor Lawrence. And there's still a few more names I wanted to get to as well.
Well, you just basically told me that you think JJ McCarthy is better than Baker Mayfield. JJ McCarthy, 4,900 against the Giants. Do we have any interest there?
Well, I would go to the opposite side and then just play
a
Vikings pass catcher. Vikings are the best defense in football. Playing an inexperienced young rookie quarterback against Brian Flores scares the crap out of me. And I worry about, the Giants not really running as much with Jackson Dart. He had 0 design runs 2 weeks ago, and then he had a bunch of design runs last week, but went to the blue medical tent after one of those. And so not playing for anything, you worry about that. But it's just like the guy has been so freaking good over his last 6 full games: QB4, QB3, QB13, QB7, QB2, QB9 finishes, 25 fantasy points per game. It's basically him and Josh Allen. And that's kind of how it's been all year. And he's only 5,800. Assuming, he runs like he did last week, he could rise above this matchup. So that's how I'd play it. But I will say JJ McCarthy has played better these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, looking a little bit better, maybe more playable. I skipped over Josh Allen because this feels like a game that is just they're going to be running it the whole time. But do you have any interest in $7,200 Josh Allen?
Yeah, I can't do that.
What about Dak Prescott? 6,700, 3% projected ownership. Do you think the Chargers can score enough to push them so Dak needs to keep throwing?
Maybe. I don't know. The receivers are expensive. Don't love the matchup. Worried about Herbert pushing, but it could happen for sure. Just wasn't one of the guys in my pool.
Did we cover you said you want to talk about a couple more players. Did we cover all of them?
Yeah, I got one more. Shout out to Always Be Water, scolding the chat for asking start sit questions. That costs $10, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Bryce Young as like a millie play. I don't get Bryce Young. I don't think he's good, but he just like randomly explodes. He's hit 26 DraftKings fantasy points in 4 of his last 16 games. I think he's been the winning Millie quarterback more often than anyone else. It's just like he scores under 10 fantasy points every other game. He's not the winning Millie quarterback. Yeah, Tampa Bay is the best possible matchup since week 11. Josh Allen exploded, Tyler Shuck exploded, Kirk Cousins exploded. And we really like Jalen Coker this week for a number of reasons. So just wanted to mention that. I'm not going to get to that, but I think yeah, to summarize, Jared Goff is probably my favorite, is definitely my favorite GPP quarterback over 5%. But then there's a lot of interesting sub 5% guys I like.
Love it. Okay. On to running backs.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, the chalk, 35% projected ownership at 8,500. Maybe we can talk about all of these top 3 together. So we have Gibbs, 8,500, Bijan Robinson at 8,700, projected for 27% ownership. Devin Achane, 8,800, projected for 17% ownership. Who do you like best of these 3? Are we just eating the chalk? We paying up at running back. What do you think of this trio?
Jahmyr Gibbs, since Dan Campbell took over, is basically Christian McCaffrey now. 70% snap share, 29 DraftKings fantasy points per game, really good involvement in the passing game. I think just one dud over that span. But everything shakes up as this being a really good spot. Is more game script sensitive than you'd think. And that's working in his favor this week. Bijan, he's also smashing. He's also like Christian McCaffrey-esque in what he has, like 4 games over 90 receiving yards this year. But he is a bit more volatile than Achane or Gibbs. And he does have the single best possible matchup. Arizona getting destroyed by running backs over their last 5 games. And then Achane, yeah, I think I like him more than Bijan, I think, at ownership, but it is close. And part of the reason it is close and not just like, lock him in over Bijan is no Tua. And you really saw that matter last year, where without Tua, he was the, RB2 in fantasy points per game. And then without Tua, that dropped to like RB 14 or whatever. Still, it's the nuts matchup, right? Running backs have been destroying the Bengals, and Achane has been lights out, destroying worlds this year. Hyper efficient on the ground, just like he was as a rookie. And then, seeing nearly wide receiver 1 levels of target volume. So you really can't go wrong. Like all 3. But I also have James Cook right there with them. So it's just one of those things that's really difficult this week.
James Cook, 7,700, a little bit cheaper, 14% projected ownership. This is a spot where we would anticipate they're going to run more on Cleveland, who have just been bad defensively recently. Anything more to your James Cook love?
Yeah, I think if I could go back in time 3 years and like tell I only had like 10 sentences, like I think one of them would just be play James Cook every week he's going overlooked, because he always tends to just smash and put up a tournament winning score. Volume is the best it's ever been. 26.3 touches per game over the last 3 weeks. He's finished as a top 7 fantasy running back in 4 of his last 5 games. And the Browns run defense, which started off amazing, has slipped to bottom 5 since week 11. We love playing Cook in spots, the opposite of Josh Allen Superman spots. And that looks like what it is this week, a 10.5 point spread. He averages 26 fantasy points per game in games the Bills have won by multiple scores. He's one of the best plays in the entire slate. And so to me, it's really like Gibbs, Bijan, Achane, James Cook, just really tight tier. And that's not the way ownership has it. So maybe as an outside the box listener, it makes more sense to be overweight James Cook, be overweight Achan, and be underweight a Bijan, and maybe even and actually, yeah, and I will be underweight Jahmyr Gibbs because of my Jared Goff love. I last week onslaughted that game, and that worked out really well for me. But Johnny on the Sunday morning show was like, no, don't stack Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't add Jahmyr Gibbs to the stack. And I did. And it cost me a lot of money. And I should have listened to Johnny and just stuck with the Jameson, St. Brown, Puka build he recommended.
Yeah, that build was for all the money. Of course, pretty expensive, but like if you built right around it, that one was for.
It was either that or T-Law, right?
Yeah, that's right. I guess that is.
Oh, and Etienne, who we really liked.
Yeah. So I'd say all of those 4 running backs we've talked about so far, you could apply that to large field or small field GPPs. I think they're all like strong plays, regardless of the type of tournament you're playing. We've also got RJ Harvey 6,200, Javonte Williams 6,400. Now, to me, I look at RJ Harvey again. This strikes me as a bad matchup. This has been a pass funnel defense against Jacksonville. Are we down on RJ Harvey at 16% ownership?
He's still top 6 in our projections, but I'm more with you than not. This is a running back who has really struggled for a major part of the season, has not looked as good as J.K. Dobbins, not anywhere near as good. The volume has been excellent. It's an elite offensive line, but like you said, this doesn't look like the right spot. This looks like a pass funnel matchup. And you could dislike Harvey and dislike Bo Nix because, Bo Nix is difficult to stack. It's seemingly like a different random wide receiver exploding. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. This feels high to me.
Yeah. What about Javonte, 6,400? He's getting 15%.
Yeah, his volume's good. He hurt his shoulder in week 15. Outside of that, he's, top 5 in XFP per game, top 3 in snap share over the last 3 or 4 weeks. That's really good usage. It's like a fringe top 10 matchup. I like the idea of stacking with the Cowboys defense, gaining leverage on a randomly chalky Justin Herbert, who hasn't played well. But he's not anything special to me. He's fine. It's okay. Yeah. We talk about running back chalk kind of hitting every week. Harvey and Javonte don't seem especially favorable to me. Aaron Jones, it wasn't even in my pool. Chase Brown wasn't even in my pool. So I think ownership's running hot on all of those guys.
Interesting. Okay. Jones to me was looked good. Like 5,200 feels pretty cheap in this kind of run funnel Giants defense. But yeah, now if he's going to be chalky, it's playable, but I feel like I keep playing Aaron Jones and it hasn't really hit yet. Just kind of waiting for it. Feels like it could at any moment, and it just hasn't happened so far. Kenneth Gainwell kind of pops as a value, 5,100, just 11% projected ownership. You including him in any as a run back in any of your Detroit stacks? Do you like him as a one-off? How do you feel about Gainwell?
Yeah, this is the sort of guy I just never play because he's like a committee back who's running hot. But he's running really hot.
Yeah.
And it is an Arthur Smith backfield where, you're going to play the wrong guy every single time. But there's a ton of collective XFP going to the position because it's such a RB centric offense. Despite the committee, he's hit 16 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Ranks top 10 in XFP over that span. Same number of red zone targets as JSN, 17% target share or better in 4 of his last 5. That's a high total game, good game script for him. And he's really cheap. So, and he looks great, dude. He looks incredible. This was one of my big misses as a, rookie evaluator, but he looks sick right now.
Yeah, he does. Brian Joy wants us to talk about Bucky Irving. Do you have any Bucky Irving love?
No, I didn't get there. It felt thin to me. Don't really trust the usage. The price and the matchup didn't really stand out to me.
Genty, really tough matchup, but he's only 5,600. Gets pretty elite usage. Any interest in Genty?
I don't know. He's just done nothing all year.
Yeah,
kind of
stuff.
Hasn't played well. I speculated he's been playing through a high ankle sprain, worst offensive line in the league. I'm not going to touch that.
What about
Like a high floor play?
this Bills matchup for Quinshon Judkins? They've been pretty bad against running backs. He's only 6,000. We have the other two running backs on the Browns both out, so maybe more involved in the passing game. How much interest do you have in Quinshon Judkins?
Yeah, I couldn't get there either, and like that's always been one of my rules is like always play running backs against Buffalo because they always go under owned. Because like what do we always say? Buffalo invites the run, they beg teams to run on them. And there's a high explosive play rate. But I don't know. Judkins has kind of sucked. This offense kind of sucks. I think they get blown the F out. I just you could play it. I don't think it's bad, but it just not one of the guys on my list that I'll probably not play this week.
Okay. Well, and we've kind of talked about the chalk. So who is on your list, or do you want me to keep asking about players?
Michael Carter is good with that Bam Knight injury. Should get, I mean, it's clear leverage off of a chalky Jacoby Brissett, right? And like I said, the volume and usage is really good. It's a fringe top 12 matchup on paper. So I kind of like Michael Carter.
Okay.
And I think you go back to Travis Etienne. I don't think he's really touching the big four we talked about, but Basil Tutin's out, so workload's going to be really good. Tough matchup, really tough matchup, but he had 3 pass catching touchdowns last week. So
true. Let me tell you about a player that ask you about a player that I'm really high on that I plan to play a lot of. Doesn't project that well. Omarion Hampton, 5,800, going against this Cowboys defense. To me, it is somewhat dependent. Like my level of interest is going to be dependent on Quinnen Williams' status, which, as of last I saw, still questionable to play. But would be kind of surprising if Quinnen Williams plays this week. In which case, we go back to the Dallas defense that we had earlier in the year. That teams were just running all over the entire season. Omarion Hampton, 15 carries last week. I see a lot to love here, but he's not projecting that well. How do you feel about Omarion Hampton this week?
Yeah, I wasn't going to get there. It was like a 65-35 split last week by snap share, like in Vidal's favor. So that kind of scares me. What was the touch distribution like?
So for just last week, let's see.
This is your Neil Ass play.
This is a Neil Ass play.
Yeah, so Hampton had more carries and was a lot more efficient. But nothing in the passing game.
Just one target, 21% route participation last week.
Yeah, what's the spread?
Good question. Let's see.
I don't know. This feels thin to me. I don't like committee backfields.
All right. Well, that is my Neil Ass play of the day. Yeah, I also I was kind of thinking about Kimani Vidal. I just to me, it's probably trending in the direction of Omarion Hampton. Just like we've seen the carries move up. Like you said, the snaps were not quite there last week for Hampton, and he's not really involved in the passing game. So I do have that concern. But I just let me make the case for you, and I guess I kind of already did. But this Dallas defense is one that teams were running on all season. Like this was like the spot to attack Dallas on the ground until they traded for Quinnen Williams. Now Quinnen Williams looks like he's probably going to be out. We get Omarion Hampton, who is an explosive, really good running back, got 15 carries last week. So even in a bad split, he got 15 carries, and I expect the split to move in his favor.
It's a good argument.
They do have a terrible offensive line, but
yeah, the Quinnen Williams element I think is I mean, what happened when the Eagles were down their Quinnen Williams? We saw Cam Scatterby with 3 touchdowns. I think the running back smashed in the other game, but yeah.
All right, so that'll be my Neil last play as Omarion Hampton. Who else do you want to talk about? Any other running backs that are not chalk? Okay,
I want to pay up for running backs this week is what I want to do.
Okay, that's reasonable, I think. All right, let's move on to wide receivers. The chalk is Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,400, projected for 29% ownership. I know you're playing a lot of Goff. I assume you're playing a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown also.
Yeah. Amon-Ra, I think, is a great play. He's really benefited from the absence of Sam Laporta since he went down. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 targets per game, 112 yards per game, 24 DraftKings fantasy points per game. I really like the matchup for him. It's a little bit of a little bit of a slot funnel. It's a pretty big underneath funnel. It is a blitz heavy defense, which is great for Amon-Ra, and high implied point total, highest in the slate. So he's a great play, but Jameson, I think, is also a great play because he's been smashing since Dan Campbell took over and Laporta went down, more 11 personnel benefiting them. He's scored 17 fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 games. I think the matchup on paper is a little bit more in Jameson's wheelhouse. But then again, Pittsburgh down their best pass rushers gives Goff a little bit more time in the pocket to hit JMO downfield. When we're forced to choose, I'd prefer Amon-Ra, but it's really close. And this is, again, a great argument for Jared Goff.
I can't decide if DK Metcalf is going to go over-owned just as like a bring back. Do you like DK Metcalf?
He definitely is.
Do you like him anyway at 54? And
yeah, I mean, he's just like a clear misprice. He's wide receiver 23 by salary versus wide receiver 16 by DraftKings fantasy points per game. And this is an elite matchup. This Lions defense and secondary decimated by injury, really bad, bottom 3 against wide receiver 1. So it's a good spot for him. I don't really trust Metcalf. And I think you've seen some volatility where some defenses have figured out that, okay, we just bracket him and they have nothing else. But I don't know. This Lions secondary is just so bad.
Jamar Chase, you already brought up as a bring back in your Quinn Ewers stacks. Do you like him as a one-off or just in stacks?
Yeah, I want to know what's happening with T. Higgins. So I'm gonna have a better answer tomorrow morning. But it's just Jamar Chase, right? He could just drop a 50 burger. It seems sort of random. You look in his games without T. Higgins. I talked about this on last week's show. Is if you remove Baltimore, which plays the perfect schematic matchup for Jamar Chase, he's actually much worse without T. Higgins over like a 4-year sample. So yeah, I need to think a little bit more deeply on that. But on paper, the matchup's great. This is a bottom 7 Miami pass defense, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is out. I think that's huge for him and his big play potential. So yeah, totally get Jamar Chase and why that price and ownership is where it is.
Chris Olave against this Jets defense that seems to be a nice matchup lately. We go into Olave against the Jets.
Yeah, I think he's one of the ones that people are sort of like, he's sort of flying under the radar. He had this like elite usage and volume, and it's really come down following the Devon Veely breakout. But Veely got hurt. Veely's out, by the way. He's on IR, but he got hurt last week. He missed only the 4th quarter. And once he went down, Olave was hyper targeted, 7 targets in 1 quarter, had 5 catches for 78 yards and a score. This is a great matchup against the Sauce Gardner-less Jets. So I wrote him up as a cash play. I think he's a really good value. I think 15%. Is maybe a little low.
Drake London, I think one of the more interesting conversations to be had because it's unclear like to what extent he is healthy. Like is he going to be 100%? Is he going to be 50%? Is he running all the routes? What is your read on Drake London? And are you willing to play him at 15% ownership and 7,000 against Arizona?
Yeah, I think if this were Penix, like I would argue he's a must play. Because it's Kirk Cousins, it injects a little bit of uncertainty here, just because their connection wasn't great last year. But I mean, dude, he was looking like the mega league winner to own over his last 5 healthy games, 25 DraftKings fantasy points per game. This is a great schematic matchup for him. But we don't know how healthy he is. We don't know if he's going to be in a snap count. And there is the uncertainty with Kirk Cousins, who only plays well against Tampa Bay, but played really well against Tampa Bay last week. I don't know. He's okay. If I were playing DFS like you play it, he's someone I'd want to be probably even to the field with.
Yeah, I think that is probably the right approach. I saw Jeff Mueller was tweeting that he expects him to be like kind of limited based on comments. What was kind of my take or my like latest read on the situation was from Jeff Mueller, kind of being like, it looks like he's probably going to be limited in this game, but a lot of people are saying like they didn't think he was going to be back this season. It's kind of reckless for them to be even playing Drake London. So I just don't know like what to do, because it's such a nice matchup with Arizona. But I think, yeah, being about even with the field is probably a nice way to just hedge your bets for Drake London, because it could be a great spot or it could just be really limited. Another spot, other side of that game, we have Marvin Harrison Jr. returning. Now Michael Wilson is 6,900. Marv is, I believe, 5,900. Looks like he's not getting much ownership, or I'm not sure. Maybe he's not in here. What are you doing with the Arizona receivers?
Yeah, I think I like Marv as a contrarian play. I was waiting for Chris's projections to come in and update for that. But yeah, it's just like, I think they should have Michael Wilson featured as the one, just because that's worked out so exceptionally well. But that wasn't what happened when Marvin Harrison Jr. came back from the appendix. He was the featured one. Not the best results from that, but it was like 2.5 quarters, he had like a 40% target share. So yeah, I think he's going to fly under the radar. I think he's a good value. And I think that's going to be one of my, hard stands, but it's not that simple. It's also like, hey, what should they do? It should be Wilson, I think, featured as the one. But yeah, for tournaments leaning into upside, I think that's good.
Okay. Justin Jefferson's only 6,000. I know we're kind of tepid interest in JJ McCarthy, but is this cheap enough that we can finally play some Justin Jefferson?
I could see it. He's been so bad, dude. He's been like, it's almost unfathomable how awful he's been. He's been over the last 6 weeks, which is a really long sample. He's the wide receiver 63 by fantasy points per game, 6.2. But he does rank 12th in first read target share over that span. He's the cheapest he's been since week 6 of 2020. He just feels due. Like, am I allowed to say that? He feels due in the
Everybody
same
will call
way.
you a fish, but it's okay.
I mean, that's what Chris and I were saying about, Kyle Pitts, about Kenneth Walker, who just finally had their big games. It's like, you look at the usage and the volume, there should be way better efficiency. And for some reason, it just always seems to come all at once in one game, right after you've abandoned all hope. And like I said, JJ McCarthy has been playing better. Catchable throw rate has really come up these last 2 weeks. So he's not someone I'm clamoring to play, but he's really fine at that price point. And if he exploded for 8 catches, 148 yards and 2 touchdowns, it really wouldn't surprise me.
I think if you want to sound like a fish, you say he's due. If you want to sound smart, you just say he's a regression candidate. Got a positive regression candidate for Justin Jefferson. No, I'm with you. Like, I think that this is like the like everything coming together, where it's like his prices come way down. Nobody's excited to play him, but like he's been so close on so many plays that I agree with you that he is due. So I do like JJ McCarthy at 12%.
Well, actually, I'm due for a bathroom break. Can I?
Okay, yeah, you go for your bathroom break.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Pee all over your hands. Yes, that's what he said, right? Did he say I'm going to pee on my hands? That's what I heard him say. So I like Justin Jefferson as a positive regression candidate here. I think like he has not hit for any touchdowns with JJ McCarthy. If they just get some of those touchdowns to count, like if they just don't have penalties, count them off, I think Justin Jefferson should be really good. Nice spot here against the Giants. I really like the play. I was going to really like Keenan Allen if Quentin Johnson is out. I think I still kind of do secretly like Keenan Allen at 4,800. Guessing Scott is not going to be as enthusiastic about Keenan Allen, just not really wanting to play that passing game. But obviously, if Quentin Johnston is out, it's going to look like a better value. I don't think I have any Neil Ass plays at wide receiver like I do at running back. It would be Omar and Hampton. Very curious here why Scott likes Jalen Coker. I'd love to hear that Jalen Coker is in play. I guess Ladd McConkey at 4% is kind of low owned. I like that quite a bit. Trying to see if I have any other like really low owned plays. Want to play a little bit of Chris Godwin at 5,300, but it sounds like he's maybe not fully healthy. Did I see your Scott come back? No, I did not. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other real Neil Ass plays that I'm excited about here. Scott, I want your take on Jalen Coker first. You already mentioned that Jalen Coker is a player that you are interested in. He is 4,400. I want to hear your reasoning behind Jalen Coker.
Yeah, this was one of Ryan's big conviction calls, and I like it at this price at 4%. He's led the Panthers in first read target share over the last 2 games, 32%. That's pretty high. I think Tet McMillan is dealing with a bad ankle injury, which they keep alluding to, but not really going in depth on. But it's a good matchup for him. It's an underneath funnel. It is a slot funnel. And so it kind of all just points towards Jalen Coker being someone the field is going to lose sight on, but I think could surprise for a spike week.
Love it. Cokeheads rise up. Anybody, I know you're not enthusiastic about Justin Herbert, but like it weirdly, his pass catchers are not getting a ton of ownership. I guess Keenan Allen is the one that sort of is 11% projected ownership at 4,800. Would you play any Keenan Allen or Ladd McConkey is 6,100 projected for 4% ownership? Would you play either of them if Quentin Johnston is out? And then are you interested in any of them if Quentin Johnston is in?
Yeah, I sort of wrote this tepid, lukewarm. Well, it's a great matchup. Well, it's tough to pick between them. They haven't done anything in over a month. And so, wasn't where I was going to go. But again, I have this fear. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and Johnny's just going to be like, dude, it's the Cowboys and no one wants to play them. They're going to smash. So I need to give that more thought tonight before the Johnny show. But if Johnny doesn't bring that up, yeah, I wasn't expecting to have a ton of exposure, but yeah, 4% for Ladd McConkey in this matchup. That feels like on a show called Outside the Box. We should be hyping up a bit more.
Yeah, it's one that I came into yesterday being like, this is a spot that I'm attacking. Just I'm playing the Chargers offense all over, and now I've come back around to like, well, at least I love Omar and Hampton, but I'm still going to be over the field on these on the passing game. Also, what about the Ask God? 4,500 in New Orleans, not the ideal spot for the Ask God, but 8% projected ownership. Any interest there this week?
Yeah, I think that's solid for 4,500. I'm going to lean towards Coker at 100 cheaper.
Okay.
But AD Mitchell's fine to good. You just have to know what you're getting with him, and that's like either 0 or 23. Quarterback play is awful in New York, but Brady Cook did hyper target Adonai Mitchell last week, which we love to see. And the sort of targets he's getting are deep shots where you have the potential for a lot of fantasy points, big play and a touchdown. And when you have the Ask God, like really good separation, bad hands, unfortunately, but really good separation. So yeah, he's just a little behind Coker to me, but they're both good plays.
Okay. Mike Evans, 6,300, looked like he was like back. He was himself last week. Any interest in Mike Evans against the Panthers? Yeah,
this is another fantasy point special. Chris, Ryan, Jake all really aligned on Mike Evans this week. It's an ideal schematic matchup up against the Panthers, who he destroyed last season. 215 yards, three touchdowns, 21 catches. And so, that ties into the schematic matchup. It's the same scheme he destroyed last year. He's at a target share of 25% or better in every game this season. And he came back last week, only a 65% route share in his first game back, had 12 targets, 24 XFP, third most on the week, 132 catchable air yards. I'll touch on that in a second. And he caught 6 for 132. I had been talking about for weeks and weeks that like Baker Mayfield is failing Emeka Egbuka. The catchable target rate is so low. All of Baker's accuracy numbers are so bad, but Evans came back and like didn't have the same issue. I think he was getting better separation than Egbuka, and then he has the ability to win these contested catches that maybe kind of forgives Baker's accuracy issues. But it's also, I really don't trust Baker. And so I don't know. Like I said, Nick Spinola loves it. Chris Weck loves it. Ryan Heath loves it. So I have to love it. And see, 6,300 is cheap. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I like it. I don't know that I go as far as to say I love it, but I like it. I think I'll be double the field if he comes in at 7%, which, you know, is kind of a stand. I do have the same concerns about like Baker, and target competition, I think, is like sort of a concern there, but maybe not. I mean, just based on what we saw last week, it kind of seemed like he's just the clear alpha there, and they're going to be targeting Evans. So I'm with it in the sense that I'll be over the field on Evans. He's not going to be like in 40% of my lineups. I think it's a decision point for you. If you're playing 555 lineup, like he's somebody I consider. I think like I maybe a mini with Jalen Coker. Like that's something to consider for sure.
That's sexy.
Yeah. What else? Any other receivers that you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot of receivers.
Oh no.
Do you run out of names?
Yeah, I ran out of names.
Really?
Can't find any others. You said you don't like the Cowboys guys.
No, I do. I like CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, okay.
Over Pickens. There's some positive coach speak, and this is how you kind of see it across the industries. They're neck and neck. I disagreed with that. I gave CeeDee Lamb a clear head above. I mean, Pickens is maybe someone who's due, but he's really struggled these last 3 weeks. He does have positive coach speak working in his favor, where they're like, we really need to get him going down the stretch here. But CeeDee Lamb's cleared 110 receiving yards in 3 straight games. He left one of those games in the second quarter, and his usage and volume has been elite all season, really a step above George Pickens. I like the schematic matchup a little bit. Chargers aren't a soft defense to wide receivers, but they are like third highest in first read rate allowed, and so that's almost always CeeDee Lamb, who's done really well in similar spots. So CeeDee Lamb 7,800, I think, is my preference, at least if looking for another piece in that game. And maybe he if you were looking for it, he makes you a little different from Amon-Ra St. Brown teams, although he's just nowhere near as strong of a play, ignoring ownership.
Yeah, clearly it has like the same upside, just doesn't have the same floor, I would say. Would you agree with that? Same upside as Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra probably more upside, but
okay. Chiefs receivers, do you like Xavier Worthy?
Probably should have a better median than Jamar Chase, in my opinion, but it's just the Jamar Chase slate breaking upside is insane.
Do we like either any Chiefs receivers with Rashee Rice out?
Yeah, I'm a big Xavier Worthy hater, but I think he's fine, just sort of chasing volume here, and the matchup is amazing. I think you could also go to Juju Smith-Schuster, who's terrible and dust, but just because he's 3K, and maybe that gives you a better, more unique build. But yeah, I don't really see an angle beyond that, and like I said, Vegas is kind of not expecting much from this Chiefs team. I like Jacoby Myers at 5,500. Really clearly my favorite of the Jaguars pass catchers. He's been the wide receiver 1 by first read target share. Good production, good efficiency, a lot better against man coverage, which he'll face at a top 5 rate. BTJ is going to get Patrick Surtain, so he gets Riley Moss, who teams always target at a really high level. And like I said, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is playing at a really high level these last few weeks. People are going to play Cortland Sutton this week on the opposite side. He's coming off of 2 really good games, 27.8% target share the last 2 weeks. That coincides with a diminished role for Troy Franklin. It's a top 5 matchup on paper. That said, it's a bad schematic. He's a man beater up against a zone heavy Jaguars defense. And the way I wrote it up in the slate breakdown was I said, putting money on a Denver Broncos receiver feels like playing Russian roulette for a nickel, because there's just not a lot of upside typically. And, it always backfires. So I don't really love it, but if you look at our projections, you're going to see Cortland Sutton really high. And it seems, other sites have it similarly at 15%.
Is Pat Bryant back this week? I actually have not looked at Pat Bryant.
Yeah, he should be. And that was Nick Spinola really liked him because, like I said, it's a zone heavy matchup. Franklin a little bit better against man, Sutton much better against man, Bryant a lot better against zone. And you really saw over the last few weeks he was eclipsing Franklin as the number 2. He's only 3,500, but he ultimately didn't make my pool just because, like I said, these Denver wide receivers, it's just been a total headache where like route share just seems to fluctuate wildly, where Sean Payton's just like totally back on his bullshit where it's like YOLO, it's a Marvin Mims week. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like it.
Classic Sean Payton. You're a big Sean Payton guy. Like you're a fan.
Yeah,
of
I think he's awesome. I love him, but
I hate him because I do fantasy analysis.
Yeah.
All right. What else? What else do we like?
I think that was it.
You just told me I've got a billion wide receivers I want to talk about, and then you're like, "No, I'm done after."
Wandale on FanDuel is fine, but only.
What about Jordan Addison instead of Justin Jefferson? I keep coming back to like maybe
Jalen Naylor's been the most productive, but
I know, but he's like not actually like it's not real.
Right. Yeah, it's hard enough to get me to play Jefferson $3K cheaper than he was in week 1. So like, don't talk me into Jordan Addison.
All right. Well, I'll throw that out as another kind of Neil play that I'm thinking about as something that I'm going to be playing a bit of, because everybody can like see like Justin Jefferson, he's clearly too cheap at 6,000, but like I don't know, Addison I think still has the big upside.
There's a big fight going on in our chat that
I've noticed they've been fighting nonstop ever since we made a joke about like pay us money if you want season long. Not actually a joke. It is actually true. Also, like we don't want to answer season long questions, but people have been fighting for like an hour in our chat. All right. Any other
guys? Yeah. I'm in Discord. If you're a subscriber, DM me. I will answer your start sit questions.
But we still love you. We just don't want to answer your questions on this show because it's already a really long show.
Yeah.
Just talking DFS. All right. We're going to move on to tight ends.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to tight ends. I think I might have said that Jalen Naylor was in the last play. I meant Jordan Addison if I said Naylor. All right. Top projected owned tight end, Harold Fannin, 4,500. No David Njoku once again, going up against the Bills, 16% ownership. How much interest do you have in Harold Fannin?
Yeah, since Shadur took over, 8.8 targets per game, 29% target share, 15 XFP, 15 fantasy points per game. It's all elite. Like those are great numbers. Utilization's really good. It's that he is my cash tight end, and I feel really good about it. Really strong value. I bet the Sims are even gonna like him in the flex spot, and like that doesn't make me angry at all. So yeah, he's fine. But I think a big decision this week is Fannin versus Kelsey. I said Fannin. Chris, Ryan, Jake said Kelsey. Because I'm the boss, I went with Fannin as the cash tight end.
Show him. You tell him.
But I mean, 3-1 against like three people who are probably all smarter than I am. With Kelsey, you run into the risk that like the Chiefs just don't give a fuck anymore because their season's over and Patrick Mahomes is out. But also, this is an elite matchup. Gardner Minshew targeted Kelsey on 75% of his throws last week. Hyper targeted Brock Bowers last year. Rashee Rice is out. Kelsey is just 99 yards shy of moving into second all time on the tight end receiving yards list. Needs 203 yards for his 8th 1,000-yard season. So, yeah, I think that's really close. And I think they're both good plays. I went with Fannin, but they're both really good plays.
I like it. I think I agree with you on Fannin over Kelsey. Have you considered the Utica angle of
Ooh, what's that?
Kelsey playing in Tennessee, which is where Taylor Swift was born? Maybe I actually have not watched the video yet, but I saw people discussing that was the Utica angle that they posted was something related to like Taylor Swift is from Tennessee and Travis Kelsey's going back and playing there. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know, but at one point I looked at his numbers in games Taylor Swift attended, and they were much worse.
Oh, is that right? Okay. That's interesting. I don't know. I'll have to watch the Utica video because you don't want to fade Utica. That's the one thing I know is if Utica is playing the narrative, I'm going to play the narrative a bit. What are we doing with Kyle Pitts, who just broke fantasy last week? Now he has nut matchup against Arizona, but Drake London is returning. Is it just like, can we not play him anymore, or what's the deal with Kyle Pitts with Drake? And if Drake London is limited, do we still like Kyle Pitts? What are we doing here?
I'm not gonna touch that at 15% with Drake London back. And Kyle Pitts went nuclear last week, but it was also his only good game since his rookie season. And it is a awesome tight end funnel matchup, but I'm not going to touch that 15%. I think even if that comes down with Darren's projections tomorrow, I think there's a lot better plays.
Okay. Muhammad says that Taylor Swift is from Pennsylvania, so it shows what I know.
There's
I
a
have not
big
watched
country music scene.
There's some
Nashville,
kind of narrative there. That's all I know is that there's some narrative that I've kind of seen.
You're clearly not a Swiftie.
In past, I'm a huge Swiftie. I just don't know anything about her, Scott. Taylor Swift is fantastic. I listen to her music at weddings. I think I've got some on my phone. No, I'm a bit of a Swiftie. I'm not like an actual Swiftie in the sense of like knowing anything about her beyond like what I hear in passing. I'm not like watching the documentaries and stuff. All right. So we've talked about Dalton Schultz is sort of inexpensive. Maybe you can play him with CJ Stroud. What's your interest there?
Yeah, I mean he's been really good this year. If you look at the numbers, I mean he sucked in that one Buffalo Bills game, but that's the toughest matchup for tight ends. But excluding that, he averages 7.6 targets, 13 fantasy points per game since the team's bye. He's just nowhere near as good as Fannin, who's only 300 more. But maybe there's leverage in that or something. But I would rather just play Fannin personally.
You already brought up Darren Waller against the Bengals. He's getting pretty low ownership. What is your level of interest in Darren Waller?
Yeah, I like him a lot. It's just like the nuts matchup. This is, if he doesn't break the slate, Achan's going to, this isn't just like a great matchup. This is like a historically great matchup. This is the most fantasy points per game a defense has given up to tight ends in, I don't know, 18 years. And it's like 25% more than the third closest defense over that span. So, yeah, and he's been good. He has 6 touchdowns across his 6 full games, 13.5 fantasy points per game. Had more yards than Waddle last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, Waller's one of my favorites.
Scott, you always say the nuts matchup, and I always say the nut matchup, or the nuts like without anything following it, but like the nut matchup versus the nuts. And I have no idea which is correct. So I want to know what people think. Is it the nuts matchup or the nut matchup? What is the correct we need terminology here? Because I genuinely don't know. I thought it was the nut matchup, but you always say the nuts. And like the nuts is what you say, like, oh, I have the nuts is like a term also. So you might be right. I just don't know what is the actual correct terminology there. Juwan Johnson against this Jets defense. We're playing some Tyler Shuck. Do we like any Juwan Johnson there?
Yeah, I think he benefits from Veely's absence. I forget exactly how I wrote it up, but like before the Veely broke out, he his numbers were a lot stronger, but still not quite Fannin or Kelsey level. I don't know. He's okay.
What else? Oronde Gadsden, like the nice matchup. Price is like not that crazy. he seemed talented, seemed like a guy we loved for a while, and has kind of just fallen off. Is that going to continue? What do you think of Gadsden?
I think he's really good, but yeah, I mean, like every Chargers receiver has kind of sucked while Herbert sucked these last 5 weeks. Did have that injury and hasn't done much since he came back. I'm not going to go there. He wasn't on my list.
Okay. Are we paying up for Trey McBride?
I think you can. I'm probably only going to do that on Brissett lineups, but like if I can make a strong case for him, I believe I can. It's since Brissett took over, he's outscoring every player on this slate. He's averaging 4 more fantasy points per game than Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is $800 more. So if you just like view him as a wide receiver, like he's, why aren't you viewing him as JSN but $600 cheaper, right? So that's the argument for him. But like I said, I like paying up for the running backs more than anything this week. I like St. Brown more. His numbers since Laporta went down are even better. But yeah, I could definitely see him being a good play, great play.
It feels weird that I'm not like bringing up Brock Bowers at 5,600. Like that just seems like a play we should be making, but I like the matchup is so tough. Do you have any interest there?
For Bowers?
Bowers, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a great contrarian play. No one wants to touch him. And by the way, his usage has been awful since Greg Olsen took over. Like you should be done in the NFL after this, Greg. But despite everything that's gone wrong for the Raiders being like the worst team in football, he still averages 17 fantasy points per game in games without a brace. Those are elite numbers for a tight end. He had a 46-point slate breaker in week 9. Geno Smith is back, which should help him. And yeah, ownership is low. And like, I think he's a value straight up. Chris and Ryan disagreed, but like I like him this week. I think he should be a little bit more ahead of Fannin and projection, and they're kind of neck and neck. So it's just people aren't going to get to him.
Okay. Any other tight ends you want to talk about?
Hawkinson is a pretty decent punt. He's had a 19% target share or better in 4 of his last 5. He's outproducing Justin Jefferson by a lot. It's a good matchup. If you're just looking for a punt, I always try and like find the best, cheapest viable punt. And to me, the cheapest I'm willing to go is Hawkinson, but I'd much rather find the 500 and play Waller.
Okay. Anything else? Are you ready to make some lineups?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to make some lineups. Stupid question. All right. In the Millie Maker. Oh no, we got these. Oh man, this is not filling. For anybody who's not already playing the Saturday slate, it looks like we're going to potentially get some overlay. Still 14,000 entries left in that. So I want to call that out.
Every
go
time
play
I
some.
say that, I never get overlay.
That is true. We do have plenty of time for people to still potentially play it. So it might not happen, but keep your eye on it. All right. So do we want to start with that Ewers stack with Achane and Waller or Goff?
Yeah.
We'll start with the Ewers. So this is for, would you agree that this is something you probably don't play in like anything under 1,000 entries in the contest? Or would you? Maybe
I don't know. I like this. I'll be honest. But like that's me, like what I recommended. I don't know, but because it is, I'm maybe more aggro than most, but
yeah. I threw Chase in there as a bring back. I think you mentioned.
Yeah, can we find a way to go? I don't know. This probably isn't possible, but can we go Gibbs Cook?
We can try. I don't know if it's
pick
possible.
one, but I think that's fine.
And then Cook. If we go one of the cheap, if we go with the Jets.
Go Jets Coker, see what happens.
Coker's not going to work. Oh wait, yeah, Coker's not going to work because he's 4,400.
You could do Juju and something else. All right, so swap Gibbs with Cook, or you know what? Gibbs Achane is going to be unique. especially Gibbs HN Chase is going to be so unique. Let's stick with that and find a way to make this work.
Okay. Let's see.
You could do Fannin in the flex spot. You could do Coker in the similar price range, or Kelsey. We could do Gainwell correlation with Gibbs if that's a thing. Evans maybe. You talked about that mini stack.
Let's see. If we do, I did put Gainwell and Coker in there. That would give us 5,000. So maybe that's not the way.
Oh, your
we
boy
wanna go.
Addison.
We could put my boy Addison in there.
No,
That would
let's take Gainwell out. Let's try the Evans mini and then see if we have to have like a tight end on the flex or something.
Okay. 3,800 flex leaves us enough for Pat Bryant.
Yeah. Spinola loves him.
Jalen Naylor. We could go Pat Bryant. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, we could. I think the other is we'd have to take Evans out, or is there like a Jasicki maybe just for the stack that you'd be into, or
Jasicki fits.
Yoshivas / I don't know the other guy. I'll have to check projections.
This would be Gesicki. Would that be dependent on T. Higgins being out?
I don't know. I don't really know. Jasicki smashed last year whenever Higgins was hurt, but it hasn't been the case this year. Well, yeah, we can do it. We could just say screw it. Him or Bryant's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go with Bryant. Let's go with
Bryant.
Shout out Spinola.
Boom. Leaves 100 on the table. We've got Quinn Ewers double stack with Devin Achane and Darren Waller. Bring back of Jamar Chase. We've also got Jahmyr Gibbs in there, Jalen Coker and Mike Evans mini, Pat Bryant in the flex, and then Jets defense one off. It's a nice lineup. I think that works. I think it plays. All right, let's do a Goff double. Or I assume you want to do double with Goff. Is that accurate, or would you rather just go with one?
Yeah, Goff double. DK or Gainwell. We'll see.
Wait. Oh, gotcha. I was thinking you meant Chimeri DK for a second there for some reason. All right.
Someone in chat asked, super chat, $1.99, the short changed us. Gene T or Devonta Smith. Our projections have Gene T by like a hair. I would go Devonta Smith.
4,700.
So you can. I'll be your Huckleberry. You can blame me if that doesn't work out.
What a guy. We'll probably need some value at running back, I would think.
I think Gainwell kind of makes just to what's easier for us as we build. I feel like Gainwell makes it easier, but then DK.
We could play them both too if you wanted.
We could do that too. Yeah.
Let's let's leave that in for now, and then we can. We can play a cheaper tight end.
You can go back to Waller.
Yeah,
Waller's
true.
Way chalkier than he is.
Yeah. Now we got 49.66 left. Put in a defense. Do we want to pay all the way down for the Jets again, or?
I would just slide that in just so we kind of know what's going on.
Yep. Okay. All right. So now we've got 6,400 left. Could play Achane plus a $4,000 flex. Gibbs plus a $4,300 flex. Cook gives us a little bit more.
Achane plus a 44, you said?
4,000.
Okay. What about James Cook?
Yeah, James Cook gives us 5,100, which I feel like there is. Oh, that's where Gainwell is, but we already have Gainwell. Let's see who else is there. Doesn't open up that much.
What about James Cook? Or what about instead of James Cook, do Javonte Cowboys? See what that does.
Okay.
Gives us leverage over those Chargers guys we talked about.
Yep. Javonte Cowboys. Leaves us 5,600 in the flex. For Marvin Harrison's 5,600.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that works. So we got Jared Goff doubled up with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, double bringback of Kenneth Gainwell and DK Metcalf. We've got Javonte Williams with the Cowboys defense. Darren Waller one-off, Marvin Harrison one-off, uses the full salary cap. I think it's a beauty.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, that plays.
Dang. I can only make one lineup this week, but we got two really good ones.
We do. We crushed it. Do you want to do one more or?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Third quarterback.
Make it like a really shitty one. Make it like Bryce Young or Justin Herbert or
Minshew. I forget. So you like Minshew, and your other $4,000 quarterback was? Oh, we already went Quinn Ewers. Okay.
Yeah, we can play Minshew.
Let's do the Bryce Young stack. I like that idea.
Okay. Coker Evans. Do we need Tet?
I don't think we need it, but I think it also would make sense. What's his price? 5,800. Could do it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll leave it off.
All right. Man, I just want to slide Omar and Hampton into this lineup, but I'll leave him off for now.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You want to do James Cook and Achane?
We don't have a Bijan yet, do we?
No.
All right, we can do Cook and Achane again. Could again do Waller. Do you like Jatavian Sanders with Bryce Young? He's just been so bad.
You throw in Fannin or Kelsey or Waller is my 3 tight ends.
All right, I want to throw in Fannin. Do we want to do Bills defense or just use?
Yeah, I like that if we can afford it, but that's super expensive.
It is kind of it's a 3,500. Actually, not as bad as I thought, but 4,850. If we did Tet, we would have, I think, 3,900 left over. What else could we do? Jacoby Myers.
Yeah. It's fine. He's also a pivot off of DK Metcalf, by the way.
Yeah.
I would probably want to come off of Bill's defense.
Yeah, that's probably options. Yeah. And then could go back to the Jets again. We go to the Saints.
The Jets do have like 5 special teams touchdowns this year. Let's go with Titans are in play.
That's true.
Cincinnati's in play. Arizona's in play. Giants are probably better than all that. I'm just looking up and they're all good.
We could do Gainwell if you wanted in the flex.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom. Full salary used. Bryce Young with Jalen Coker, just a single stack. Mike Evans, bring back. We've got James Cook, Devin Achane, Jacoby Myers, Harold Fannin, Kenneth Gainwell, Giants defense. There you go. 3 lineups. Easy game.
Easy game. This is what I'm going to do tonight, except only one lineup and spend way more time nitpicking it.
Oh, EWW says we should have done Jacoby Brissett. We could have done Jacoby Brissett. That's also true.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. What else do you have coming out? What should people be checking out on the Fantasy Points channel?
Sunday morning update, and then the everything report, and then the Christmas slate breakdown, and then the main slate breakdown, and then outside the box, and then we're almost done with the year.
Yeah, we're getting to the end right now. Crazy.
At least regular season, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to get out. Cool. Do you have any other thoughts? I mean, we kind of, as we do the lineups, we kind of talk about the defenses, but it's like Jets and Saints, I think, are both pretty strong defenses. As you threw out there, the Giants is a strong one. yeah, I'd say those are some of the best. Do you have any other defenses that are standing out to you this week?
Not right now. On the Johnny show, I will.
All right, he'll talk about that more tomorrow. Cool, Kev. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you all for watching, hanging out with us. Good luck this week. Let's make some money. Let us know if you do make money. We always love hearing from you. If you do have some success, let us know. Check out the Fantasy Points Discord. Once you are subscribed, you can get into the Fantasy Points Discord. Everything behind the paywall there. Thanks, everybody. Good luck this week. We'll see you next week.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.